I'm doing a series of traveling through South America as a woman of color with children. And if you come to my Patreon, you will see me vlog every day places that I go, safe zones, so that you get to see how beautiful it is in other places, how you'll be received. I know a lot of women of color are very hesitant because we get treated very differently in a lot of places. So this time, you know, you see I'm a melanated woman, I have melanated children, and when I travel, you get a chance to vlog, you get a chance to ask me personal questions. I'll answer all your questions. If you need advice on relocation and doing stuff, you can do so. So you can come to my Patreon and do that. I'm only doing it there, and normally I do it here, but Willy Wonka is coming so hard for anyone who's trying to promote this that I have a family. So that's why you don't hear me very often, but I promised some of my Zombies I would do it for them. And if you come to the channel and you support me that way, I will definitely do it for you. And this way you can ask me and say, hey, how do they treat the children? You can see the places that I go. You can see, like, are they food friendly? You know, I always go places with blood type friendly places. So right now I'm in a country, which you get to find out later if you sign up with me. I'm in a country that is O positive mostly. So big up to all the O positives in the room. Let me give a shout out to y'all. I'm in a country that is solely, mostly 73% or 76% O positive. It's cold right now. It's wintertime in South America, and you will know that tonight. I'll be on with Zoom. The Zombies will find out, but you guys get to find it. So at least you'll see places that I go. I'm going to go to a couple countries, countries that most people, well, at least, you know, it's not necessarily somewhere that people like moms and so on would go. So you get to see me travel and ask me questions and see if things would be fine. So what I will suggest, and I'm telling you, I haven't ever warned you this, for all the moms, abuelas, aunties, women, and children, men, if you want to stay, you stay. If you don't want to go, I always say women are the ones who are most vulnerable. If you see every war that is out here, the number one person being trafficked are children and women. My number one goal is to make sure that women, children are safe. The country is out of control. The United States is not the only country. United States is not the other country. Europe is going through actually similar, if not worse, the UK. Okay? So I'm just saying, and also, oh, you're thinking my complexion. Let me just say, if you like my complexion, you like everything, being outside of the United States has healed my body almost completely. A lot of times, I think many of you understand or overstand that the food and the air is so toxic that my entire body was really suffering. I am an O positive, and I told you, I personally think that they are attacking O positives through the food. It is my opinion that all of the food is literally designated and poisoned for O positives specifically, because we are the warrior group. We are the group that usually fights against the opposite equal end. And because of that, it is really, really hard for some of us to survive. You know, I was bloating in the United States. I would have one meal. I would bloat up like a Daros. Ribbit. Like a frog. Like a frog. Okay, and if you want to ask me questions on Patreon, also on Zoom, you can ask me personal questions about someone. So I've decided to leave the country, and I suggest everyone, this is a time, and I've made it a point, and this series is only for you. And I'm not going to do it on YouTube because they attack me so vehemently, but for the Zombies, they get it anyway. But if you come on Patreon, you will see where to go, what I suggest, and it's just suggestions, and as a mom. So for those who are mommy and are thinking about leaving and a little concerned about going anywhere, by all means, you can ask me any question there. But I am, and you don't have to come to me, but I'm telling you right now, you need to leave the country. Your country is dastardly. And also, I'll also tell you what countries are taking the global passport and others that are not. So just know that is the case. I'll be on Zoom tonight, so the Zombies will be the first to find out where I am in the world in South America. But it is my suggestion, and no one's going to tell you this. A lot of you YouTubers are sold out. They're getting checks from Willy Wonka and the League of Doom. They are basically trying to set you here. And if you listen to what happened in Mexico with the Daros herself, who was elected, listen, y'all, I haven't seen that many assassinations. They're not telling you in Mexico. Big up to our Mexicanos. Mexicans, the government is actually suggesting that Mexican Americans get their passports to have an option to come home. Mexico is also setting up shop to close up the borders on their side, and all of Americans are not being treated well. Mexico is not friendly to Americans anymore since this Darrow was elected. Some of us were watching the election really well. They really did well. They really made sure that all of the old team of Mexican governmental officials has been assassinated. And they're not telling you, telling you 30-something people, as far as we know, and this is just what I've heard. I say this, and I'm talking about from people living there. It's been over 60 people assassinated since this Darrow's, before she was elected and afterwards. They're cleaning up all of the old team so that they can take over. And whenever the Darrow's take over, that means children will be trafficked. Because remember, the Mexican people, most of them are O positive. A lot of them are O positive, and also they're very strong. They were the ones, when you were traveling during Cucarachis, they weren't requiring anything for you to go through their borders. They're actually very naturopathic and homeopathic. Mexican people are actually very resilient to mind control programming because of their ancestors. And I'm telling you, my Mexicano family, we're kin, we're cousins from the Caribbean. I'm telling you, be careful. Be careful, because the Darrows are contracting their own, and they're using the military. It's not the military, it's their own militias to take out the old regime, all of them. I mean, the assassinations are outrageous. I don't want to talk about it too much here. Again, this is what I read. So for Willy Wonka to say these are not facts, you can easily look it up, but you're not going to see the numbers as high as I'm telling you, because the people inside told me what's really happening. Okay. And also with Article 64, what is it? Article 46? Holy crap. What is it? Article 46? Kevin Jones, who is it? Jay Freeman. It's happening in Africa as well. You've heard about the assassinations of American brown women in where is it? In, oh gosh, the Gambia, and also in Kenya, in Ghana. And let me tell you, the article, I think it's Article 46. Y'all, do you guys remember the article I put up a couple times ago? And because I got this from Renetta, who actually saw it. This is actually, if you look at the article, I'll put the information after I get off live, before I get on with the Zombies. Just remind me, can someone from the Zombies remind me to place the article? The actual, it's actually, what is it? Article, it's not article, it's it's an actual law. They actually said if they were trying to deter all brown people, melanated people, from coming together. So what they did is created a militant governmental system to make sure that you, if you are an American brown person, if you leave the country and go into these places, they've set up cells, these Agent Smiths, that are there to deter you from being comfortable, and to also let me talk to my Africano people. Africa, beautiful Africa, Mother Africa, please do not listen to people telling you not to trust brown Americans. That was purposefully set up by our Willy Wonka systems here. They did that purposefully. They do not want you trusting us over here. They do not want you talking to us or plotting with us, because they know the more divided we are, the more that they have control. So please, Africa, anytime they tell you, because I know personally from the people we know, that they tell Africans not to come to, when they come to America, not to trust us. They tell you not to, that we're robbers and we're going to not be trusted. Let me explain something, Mother Africa people, from the African diaspora. I'm talking about from every country, from South Africa, from New Guinea, from Ghana, from Kenya, from Nairobi, from Morocco, from Egypt, from Mauritius, from I'm trying to think of all the countries at once, from Zambia, from, did I say Nairobi, from Benin, from, I'm getting all the countries together. Remember, there's a lot of countries in Africa. So let me just say this to all of our family in Africa. This message, please, and this is the one time I would say share this part of the video. Please, our government here is made a law, and Congo, they are setting up brown faces. Listen, y'all, it is not what you think. You think it's going to be lunars. It's not. They are brown faces that are working. They look like the locals. They act like the locals. They're setting them up there to make sure when so-called brown Americans come there that they are deterred, they have a very uncomfortable time, and that if they don't leave and they start warning the Africans of the nastiness that really goes on over here and how they're going and how they're messing with their countries through colonization, they will exterminate them, like the young women that have died over in Africa, brown American women. And brown American brothers, our brown melanated men, please start protecting our women abroad as well. If you're in Africa and you become part of that diaspora, please make sure you look after our brown American sisters, please. Promise me you'll do that, because they're using the opportunity. A lot of brown American women have left. And during the time, and you know, hopefully I'll have Renetta on the show, but she's been banned as well. They have made it a point to pinpoint those women for extermination by setting them up. Please watch them. Please do that, because this is a military militia operation, y'all. It is ran by all of the ABCs and alphabet people in the United States and in Europe. Please watch them. Please, Africa, know that we aren't your enemy. There is no American brown person coming over there to do any harm to you. They are not coming over there to do anything to you. So I have to talk about this because we have an alien, Deros, and they are controlling all of the governments. Listen to me. I'm not joking. They just took over Mexico, and I'm talking to my Mexicano people. I'm talking to my African diaspora, because they are literally running the end time scenario. This is the last of the program. I talked about reset and the pole shift. They are hiding everything. They're distracting you with all these elections and all these craziness so that you won't be prepared for the pole shift, y'all. I've been talking to you for years, and they basically have been trying to deter this message. No one's going to give it to you as raw as I am. I'm giving it to you raw. No one's going to tell you to leave the country, even though many things are happening abroad. This is why I'm doing this series of traveling as a woman, as a mother, as an animal lover with my animals, and giving you some information that will help you be safe when you're traveling abroad. And do not trust everyone. They have the Deros in every system. They have Deros that are contracting private militias, private people in groups. Do not trust everyone in groups, because they are watching everything. And please, if you listen to this man, anyone who's saying that they're talking against the Deros and they're living in close proximity of Deros, they're wearing prosthetic noses because they have elephant noses. Listen to me. They're wearing clown noses so that you don't know them, because one of their distinguishing features, that's why they get rhinoplasty for so young, y'all. It is so that they hide their alien look. They look like trolls. They look like elephant nose people, okay? These are the Deros. They're a sub-tier alien subterranean creature. They have taken over all governmental systems. They are running everything. One just took over Mexico. I want to wish my Mexican women and my abuelas and I want you to tell them, I know they're going to think you're crazy, because they're drinking all the Coca-Cola. And let me say this, Coca-Cola is the devil. Pepsi is the devil. All those dark things are hiding nanoparticulates in them. They've got addictions to Coca-Cola all over the world, and that is how they're putting the nano into people. Stop drinking Coca-Cola. This is a broadcast. I'm a joke. This is a lie. Do not pay attention to me. Do you understand? Okay? And if you are engaged sexually in your butt, you have to do as much cleansing, fasting, and nano fasting, meaning do a chelation. I'm not a doctor. I'm so on. I'm crazy. This is a comedy thing. You have to do a parasite cleanse. If you are engaged in that part of the sexual part of your body, you need to do a nano cleanse every single month. You have to do a parasite cleanse every month, because the worm is up the butt. The vril is up the butt, y'all. It's not in the eye. They tell you that so you wouldn't pay attention. The vril is real. and it hijacks the entire body. That's why they made sure they reinserted it with the monkey balls. Those are the videos that they took down. The monkey balls, remember they told everyone, oh my God, monkeypox is taking over your face. And who did they designate that to, which population? Because during the time of cucarachas, everybody, including gay, straight, were doing parasite cleansing. And guess what was happening? People's disposition was changing. So what did they need to do? Reinsert the vril back into the body so it can do exactly what it did and take over the body and infect other people with the zombie worm, the vril. Okay? So it's very important that everyone pays attention to this. Again, you call me to do the purple pilling. Please put likes on the videos so I can continue my purple pilling, because you know this video, again, I don't know if it'll stay up. I don't know if it'll do. I'm not a doctor. I'm a comedic. This is a skit. I'm maniac. I am a trans frog, and I have left the country. Okay? So let me go back to what I was saying previously. Every woman and child should leave the United States. If you are in Europe and you are located in England or in France, I would suggest you do the same. Africa used to be a safe place in certain places, but because they set up these agents and they're all in there, everyone who could be paid, you have to go in there quiet. You can't go and announce yourself. You can't go and announce it to people, because once you do that, they'll have someone in town waiting to spike your food, poison your drinks, or set people up against you. You have to do it quietly. And you can't go living in a poverty. Let me talk to my melanated sea stars, because this is a combination of aliens and governmental systems that are working against you, and governmental systems that are working with these Deros aliens that are setting you up. The Deros are out to take you out. They are Satanists. They have workers on school bus in schools taking pictures of children and sending them to perverts. They can only be able to survive by doing blood rituals and sacrifices of children. That's why wherever you see where they are, they kill the massive amount of children. They traffic. That's why my melanated sea stars stopped getting abortions at the Planned Parenthood. Remember when we found out that Planned Parenthood was selling the aborted fetuses to companies? You know who they were selling it to? The Deros. Okay, the Deros is a disgusting, really funky looking being. They have prosthetic noses, because either they have prosthetic noses or they get rhinoplastic, or they try to bleed into other bloodlines to take away from their hideous features. Okay, these are subterranean non-beings. They do not consider you to be them. They call you clay people. Okay, they call you fake people, even though they aren't the realist. Okay, so you have to be careful, because they're in every group. They're in the schools, they're in your hospitals. When you go and do things like get your checkups, they're contracted. If you ever want to see a great movie that kind of talks about, remember when the girl, her name was Jupiter Ascending? Remember she was going to take her pap smear, take her eggs and get them extracted, and guess what was doing the extractions when she woke up? Greys. The Greys are contracted and created by the Deros, okay? They have a lot of, listen, y'all, all of the historical facts that they tell you are lies. They make up numbers to make themselves the ultimate victims. They are not victims. They are literally parasitic vampires that placate themselves as victims so they can take over societies. They took over all of your governmental systems, all of them. Okay, if they're not able to take it off physically, they will contract people with the multiple banks, because they own all the banks. They will contract other people, because people are so simple and so money hungry that they will sell out their neighbors to be able to get a bag. Do you understand? So they have taken over everything. When I talk to you and I'm telling you that you need to leave, if you stay in the United States is up for demolition. They purchased all of the United States. It's not owned. We don't have United States anymore. It is done. And when they start going after lunar men, and I told you this years ago, because remember, when lunars, you were apathetic to what they were doing towards brown people. Remember, the brown people were the beta test. You didn't pay attention to all the MK Ultra programs that were happening in the hood. In the hood, when they had all of these towers up way before so-called 5G came about, and they were throwing low elf waves in the hood, creating violence, putting it in the food. Did you not think that would come to your neighborhood, that was a beta test. Because we're all the slaves in the United Figs. The United Figs is the biggest concentration camp ever. And if you stay in the United Figs, I'm telling you, if you stay in the United Figs, you will be up for either being chipped, put in a concentration camp called a Freedom City, which Trump is calling it, or a smart city, which the other one's calling it, but that's what will happen. They will make all the other places. Remember all the laws they put in placement, y'all, within the last couple of years. Do you remember the laws saying if an environment becomes too toxic, the government has a right to take you and extract you forcefully out of those places and place you somewhere else? Why do you think they put that law in an institution? Why do you think they instituted those laws? So when I tell you 15-minute cities, thank you, Natural Mermaid. When I tell you this, Sea Stars, this is not to fear bait you. This is giving the warning. You know when you have somebody who's a light tower? Oh, I am that to you. I know more than I can even tell you here on YouTube, because YouTube has made a point to delete a lot of my videos that gave you the warning. You got a lot of warnings, y'all. A lot of warnings. And the fact of the matter is, you are going to have to do this, because before that election, you're going to see a lot of false flags. You're going to see things that you haven't seen before, your grandmother didn't see before. This is demolition, and no one's going to tell you to leave the country because they want you to stay. That's why all the other borders, Canada and Mexico, are taken over by the Deros. They're making sure that any American that tries to go through those borders will be taken out, just like the governmental officials that have been assassinated over 60 since the election of one of their Deros. This is not me. So I'm just telling you, if you, I'm going to give it to you raw. Everybody else is putting, condiments on it. They're giving you chasers. I cannot do that, because we're at a very pinnacle time. And this will probably be one of the few times that I'll be able to tell you this before it's completely taken off. When they're taking off places like, when they're going after lunar men, Trump, Alex Jones, and y'all, you could call them whatever they are. And I'm not saying they're not controlled opposition, but when they're doing that visually, remember, this is a simulation. And they always show you what they're going to do to you. So regardless of what it is, whether you identify with Trump or you don't, whether you identify with Alex Jones, they're telling you who's their target. Before, they used to show melanated men and women being criminals, even though 60% of most melanated people in the United States are above middle class. And you know that the only people they show on television used to be poor, socially challenged brown people, and they would just show you that, even though the numbers of brown people that are lower class or considered to be socially challenged, socially economically challenged, is less. But they did that because they wanted you to see brown people in that way. Like if you go abroad, people think that we're criminals or that some of us are whores. If you go and say, oh my God, we're not whores, but all they show is a Cardi B. They show a Mr. Stallion. They show like Ice Spice. They show these women that are very low vibrational, remedial in intellect, and also just very hoodish. So that is what they show out to the world. They don't do that to any other class of women, but they definitely do it to the women of color, so that when you go abroad, there's a certain look. So how we're perceived when we go abroad is lower. They think we're whores. They think that all we do is drink Hennessy and that we're prostitutes and that we could be paid for sex, which is actually the opposite. Most women of color in this country, in America, are usually very conservative. But you could not tell that. But that's what I'm saying to everybody. Lunars, you need to pony up. And you need to see that just like they set up the brown people, when you were watching, you should have interceded, because guess what? They're going after lunar men because the darn Deros, just like they giveth, they are taking away. And lunar men, I don't care that you think you cannot trust everyone in a community, because the Deros look similar to you. And you need to know who they are, because they change their names. They get prosthetic noses or rhinoplasty, and they make sure they act like you. So you think that these are one of your good old boys, but meanwhile, these are the coup d'etat that are taking over, and they're coming for you. When you see an Alex Jones and a Trump being used as an example, that is a socially engineered example, just like they do to brown people, because that's who they're targeting. So you need to pay attention. You know, I always say my lunar males, you guys got the arms, you've got the backup, but you cannot trust everyone in your community because they look like you, just like in the brown community. Remember, they never send people who look different to you. They're not going to send brown people to assassinate you. That would be too obvious. You wouldn't trust it. But who do you think could come for you? Your own. So don't trust them. You don't know their names. You don't know where they come from. You don't know their lineage. Lineage matters. So even if they look like you, they act like you, these are the people that are coming for you. And now they're showing Trump and Alex Jones and the whole thing. They're showing those January 6th guys that got arrested. They are targeting you because people always ask, why do you say that, Fleur Bro? Because lunar men are the last stand of protection for this country. Nothing can go down in the United States when you have that much arsenal set up with a lot of good old boys who've been stockpiling since their grandfathers were in World War I. So what are they going to do? They're going to make a Stu Peters. Big up to Renetta, who told me this last night. They're going to set up a Stu Peters who talks about Daros all day, who has a wonderful channel, who popped out of the blue. But he talks about Daros, but he lives in Darrow land. How do you live in Florida, close to all the Darrows, like Darrow Central, and you're not taken out? They're not even trying to stop you because you are a lure and you're one of them. This is my opinion. Mr. Stewart, Stu Peters, is a Darrows. And if it wasn't for Renetta telling me that he was a prosthetic nose and one time they didn't do his makeup, so you didn't see it, he's hiding his disposition. He is one of the aliens. And you know what he's there for? He is there to be a lure for those who are in sync with him, so they think he's speaking on their behalf. But guess what? Every time when someone watches their show, guess what they're getting? They're getting all the IP addresses of all the ones that they want to come at. So you wonder why your phone starts acting crazy. You wonder why certain things are starting to change. Like water tastes more metallic. You're wondering why all of a sudden you're feeling these electromagnetic shocks in your body all of a sudden in your house, because you went on Stu Peters' channel watching him, and the Darrows watch everyone he watches, whoever comes to his channel. He is one of them. That's what I'm saying. Lunars, you have to pay attention. And I'm coming to you raw and real because remember, I'm a woman of color. I'm the bottom of the totem pole of who they want you to listen to. That's why they demonize us the most. They're like, don't listen to that big busty brown woman. Don't listen to Fleur Brun. She's a sexual deviant. Meanwhile, I have only been as upfront and honest with you as I possibly could be all these years. And I haven't been paid by any governmental systems. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, y'all. And that's also why all your national parks are set up. They've geoengineered these hybrids to make it difficult for you to go and hide. Back in the days, let me give a shout out to the witches and the Celtics. Big up to the witches and the Celtics and the jungle women. Big up to all the witches, the Celtics, and the jungle women. They used to hide in South America in the jungles, and all the witches used to hide in the forest in Europe and in the Americas. You know why they started to put these creatures in the national parks and the parks? Because women used to naturally go into the forest to hide, to be able to protect ourselves, because we worked with the elements, especially magical women, witches, sorceresses, brujanas used to hide in the forest and the jungles. Remember that? We used to dance in the jungles. We used to meet up at night. How come all of a sudden, after the Salem witch trials, and also there was a Salem witch trial all through South America with the brujanas that used to live in Brazil, in Venezuela, in Argentina. What happened to our witches that used to hide in the forest and the jungle? You know what they did? They made sure that they put the nastiest either the cartel in the jungle to deter us from going in there. And also they started to make these hybrid skinwalkers and place them inside of the jungles and the forests. So that when we naturally would recluse to our nature way as witches, and we used to meet up, remember many of the witches used to meet up and dance in circles naked, and they felt very safe. They didn't feel unsafe. But what happened after then? They set up these creatures, geoengineered creatures, and put them all in the forest so that when women would go in there, like they used to, they would disappear and used for harvesting. And I want to talk about our women in also Peru. with the face peelers that are in Peru. That is also the Deros, y'all. The Deros use your organs. They take your organs and they take your skin and they take your likeness and they geoengineer it because they aren't naturally from here. I'm talking to all of the women, the sea stars from all over. I'm talking to our sea stars in Europe, in Scotland, in England, in France, in Italy, in Spain, in Holland, in Denmark, in Switzerland, in Austria, in Germany, in Poland, in Portugal. I'm talking to you. We have to come collectively together. Our separation is what allowed these creatures to do this to us. We've been so busy fighting each other and demonizing one another and slut shaming and talking about everything about each other. Oh, you're this, you're ghetto, you're this and that, or you come from. No, they did that purposefully. Because as a united sisterhood, who really, we used to come together with different tribes of sisters and meet up once or twice a month. Different tribes coming together, sharing medicines, medicinals, and ways to practice our magic. They stopped that. The Deros are anti-female. They like to have sex with little boys, okay? That's why they set it up and like to suck. Oh, let me say this. Oh, wait, hold on. Please put a like on the video. Please put a like on the video if you don't mind being purple pill today. I told you I'm coming raw. Please put a like on the video if you like content that's a little piloting and gaslighting. This is something, and thank your other YouTuber followers that conjured me to come up tonight before our Zoom. They said, you better come on because we don't know where you are. They wanted me to speak on the matters. I'm giving it to you raw. If this is what you like I do, I will give it to you in this way. Okay, so when you put a like, it also makes the video probably stay up, at least I think. Okay, so let me just say this. The Brotherhood is not what you think. They are anti-female. They are anti-sisterhood. I'm talking to the Brujanas. I'm talking to our Celtic witches. I'm talking to our naturopathic mothers, matrons. I'm talking to all of you. They set us up. They are anti-women, all of them. They hate women. They don't even want to have sex with us. They use you as a beard so that you can cloak them so that they can go at night and sleep with their multiple vrills up their butts. They want the vrill up their butts so they can keep passing it on to the others, infecting them. Do you understand? When I tell you have to leave, you have to. We could have done this before, but right now it's not going to happen. It's too little too late. We got the pole shift coming, the reset. These bastards have taken over every governmental system. It is done. We can come together collectively outside it in certain places, and that's why I'm setting up a way to just travel and show you different places to go. If a means to maybe just, we're gonna have to be like the gypsies and keep moving, because it seems like they're going to triangulate everybody with the freaking satellites and try to find you anyway. Because someone said you can't run, but you can. You can move around and you can make it harder for them to do things to you. They like when you stay concentrated, so it's easier for them to control you. It's much harder when you move around. Much harder. And it's easier for you as a mother when you find other mothers and you kind of move in the same alignment. This is the time, y'all. This is the end, friend. This is the apocalypse. This is the finale. This is the bomb we've been waiting for. It is come hard or stay home. They have all of the United States surrounded by everyone on the other side of Canada, because what's his name? Castro's son is out of control. I think he's a Deros himself. I haven't confirmed. I got to look at his original name, but I think they're all Deros. They're all from the same bloodline, y'all. That's why all your governmental systems are in the same bloodline. Do you understand? A lot of them have. How long do we have? I think we should have left already. I'm outside the country. I'm in South America. I'll be traveling around, giving my take on what's going on abroad, a better take on that. But like I said, it's you should have planned this already. When you see your country is trying to poison you with your food, when you see that they don't care about your children, not all countries do that, and not all countries are at war. Wherever the Deros are ruling is when they disseminate a type of hysteria, like controlled opposition, kind of like militias set up with food and with environment. They do that purposefully to throw you off. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, I don't care if you're lunar, I don't care if you're Asian, I don't care if you're Latina, I don't care if you're Hispanic, I don't care if you're brown, green in between. Sea stars, and I'm talking because I know our men, they can do it. A lot of men I see are leaving the country and they're able to do it because they don't have to bring the children and women with them. They can move around easier. But sea stars, it takes a lot longer for us to move around, especially when we don't have a man around to assist us. I'm just telling you, and I'm telling you, it isn't as hard as you think. It isn't as difficult as you think, but you have to plan it. You have to plan it. The food is toxic. I told you, once I left the country is when I felt better. I felt the triangulation because, you know, Fleur Brun is #1 on Willy Wonka's list. The triangulation, they put it into food. And even if you're eating organic, you know Fleur Brun has been about that life for a long time. Eating organic, I'm bloating up. I feel like like every time I would eat, like my stomach was extended. Like the food was just toxic. And a normal, you know, my cherries, you know I love my cherries. My cherries didn't taste like a cherry anymore. Peaches didn't taste like peaches anymore. Plums didn't taste like plums anymore. It didn't matter how many organic places you go. It just wasn't the same. So for that reason, this is why I made this broadcast. I'm telling everyone right here, and especially women and children, men, I know you can do it. And if you feel aligned with this, you too should leave. If you're a melanated man, you should have been left. Okay? But I'm talking to all women. I'm talking to my lunar women, Asian women. You need to leave United States immediately. Plan accordingly. I don't care. This is my opinion. This is what I'm telling you to do. No one's going to tell you to do it. And it's not fear-based. It's called self-preservation. Unless you want to be with these diabolical Daros who are setting up for mass extermination and putting people in these 15-minute cities, these smart cities, these freedom cities, you need to leave. This is the concentrate. This is Babylon. United States is Babylon, y'all. That's what it is. It is set up. And they have set it up that back, you know, at least in Idaho. Remember the Idaho young ladies that were killed? Do you guys remember the Idaho young ladies? It was so cute. Remember they were like little cutie pies. You remember them? Little blondies. Remember how they were murdered? Listen, these are beta tests. They're sending out these lone wolves. Remember the young ladies that were, when did you hear about it? What have you heard about them? Okay, little college girls. You're telling me that one person went in a house full of a whole bunch of young people and they were able to kill 4 without being noticed? No one coming in, no one, come on, y'all. Okay? This is a setup. What happened to these young people? What happened to the young lady that went abroad and got killed by her friends? Nothing has happened. What's her name? Remember the young brown woman who went along with her friends? Do you guys remember her name? Started with a Q, was it? Do you guys remember her name? Anybody remember her name? Let me see if anybody remembers her name. Shaquilla. What happened to her case? Okay? Shaquilla. Okay? That was a setup. You know why? Because they didn't want you traveling to Mexico. These were deterrents, y'all. Her friends probably got paid. They probably were her ops. That's why I said don't trust anybody. Those were her ops. They were probably, one of the people were probably paid a lot of money to do that. It's like a setup, like a stage, like a false flag, so that more brown people wouldn't want to go to Mexico. Remember, they're getting rid of a lot of Americans in Mexico, whether it's through death, assassination, or deterrence. Okay? That was a setup. Remember the brown people that were shot up in Mexico? They just went in there. Remember, it was like 2 brown men, 2 brown women were there. That was another setup. Look at the Australian, the American lunar people that just got killed over there. It was like 3 of them, surfers. Okay? Look at the elderly couple, because the Daros are there. They want to make it so you can't leave. Remember the Mexicans were saying that they were building a wall to keep you in? They told their own people to get their passports because they don't want Americans. They're not from America anymore. Mexico, let me tell you, the Daros, because you come from a beautiful bloodline. Let me talk to my Mexican people, y'all. The Mexicanos, they're gunning for your offspring. They put Coca-Cola and Pepsi to take over your brain, to cause mass addiction and diabetes, to lower your immune system and to lower your ability to be able to fight back. Because Mexicans have, yes, they're from the Olmecs, they're from the Incas and the Mayans. They have a very old, and they're not really socially engineerable. They're the least people you can MK Ultra. When you go into Mexico, I don't care what you say. Some of you say some diabolical things about Mexicans. They aren't slow. They aren't slow. You go to Mexicans, they know that bush medicine. They know when they get sick, they don't necessarily have to go to the hospital. They can go into the bush and take a lot of herbs that their abuelas taught them. Where do you go and get your best doulas and your midwives? You go to Mexico. Okay, these are very beautiful bloodlines with very strong dispositions and strong backbones. Why do you think they're going to take it over? During Cucarachis, it was the one place you could go. They didn't have any requirements. That isn't going to happen. And as soon as this Darrows was gone into power, guess what they did? They told you that there is the first case of bird flu death. That means the agenda is on and popping. Okay? Do you understand? And you could say no all you want. We say, oh, we have rights here. When your entire country has been taken over by a coup of low vibrational, subterranean, elephant nose creatures that have been using forms of baby sacrificing magic like Satanists for eons, what do you think you could do against them? When they made sure they set up every political system in their favor, they've taken over almost every country. Do you understand? What about bills? Professor, bills means be ill. Remember, a B is 13 and ill. So if you have bills, you get sick. The more bills you have, which is B, which is a 13 and ills. You didn't notice that? So the more bills people have, you ever see them get sicker? Okay? Talk about your freedom. Talk about going somewhere where you're free. Do you understand the cost of living in other places is like so much easier, so much more affordable? Do you understand that? Do you talk about the times that you go places and you can have a full meal? I'm sitting out eating with my family in a beautiful country. We're out in the city right now. Beautiful country, beautiful people with all of my blood types. So when I eat my food from my blood type, I'm eating in a country where the majority of people are O positive. I'm eating the food. I can feed my family for less than what you pay for just going out regularly. Good, healthy food that's not inseminated with all kinds of parasites and shots and all kinds of nanoparticulates, and not being rained on by nano in the sky by chemtrails, drinking water that's not all been fluorinated. Do you understand what's going on, y'all? So when I say to you, if you have a place to go, and if you have a home in Africa, be mindful. Like I said, I'm talking to my African diaspora because we have a lot of beautiful countries. We have a beautiful continent with some of the most magnificent genealogy ever. I'm talking to my African diaspora. Please protect our Americana people of color. They are coming there not to be hindrance. They're not coming to use you like colonizers, coming there trying to take all your resources. Why are you being nasty to your own people that look visually like you? Why are you doing that? Be kind to them. They're not going to hurt you. And even lunars they're not hurting you. Americans are not like that. When they're going to Africa, they're actually going because they think it's a home. Because they told people here that they're African Americans, so they think that they're going home. They're not going to harm you. They're not going to ruin your environment. Actually, they'll be more helpful. And that's why they wrote that Article 46. I think it's 46 or 64. I got to look. I got to ask Renetta. Can you guys remember? Is it 46? Can someone remember if it's Article 46? Can someone tell me? But don't come after brown people. They're not your colonizers. It's the Darrows. Be mad at the Darrows. You want to be mad at everybody else. Be mad at the Darrows. They ruined your country. They're going there doing dirt. And they'll tell you to mistrust Americans, brown Americans, and that's not true. Brown Americans, especially if they feel connected to Africa, they are so helpful and they're so loving and they're still trying to go somewhere to be healthy. Protect them from the others in the neighborhood that have been contracted by the Willy Wonkas in your neck of the woods, because they've set them up. They made sure that they told everyone to go to Ghana, and they made sure they set up things around them to take out all their money, to make them feed their money into the system. Do not do that, okay? And it's important for you to understand and understand that we as women, I'm talking to our women, and I don't want to cry, because I think a lot of times, like my lunar girlfriends, you guys are awesome. And my Asian girlfriends, you girls are awesome. My brown girlfriends, you rock. We have to be together. Lunars, do not mistrust sea stars that are brown Americans. They've been through a lot, and they know a lot more, because you've been living in a system that's been more in your home court advantage. But right now we need each other. You got to know that brown sisters here are totally especially American brown women, they've totally been in the trenches. They know how to do things because they haven't been on the tier of acceptability. So they've had to always work harder. So they have it in them. So only, really talk to them, really come together. And I don't want to be sensitive, but this is a really big time, y'all. It's a magical time as far as like in creation and because we're right before reset. This is like the best of the baddest are here, but we have to come together. The division is really disgusting, and it's really, I see it differently because I have a lot of friends that are lunar, that are Asian, that are Latino, Hispanic, every country, African, everything, Europe, everything. I have a lot of girlfriends, so I see it as that. Jewish girlfriends, Muslim girlfriends, girlfriends that are Pakistani, a lot of different friends from different, and I'm talking about friends that I rock with, that I would trust my children with. I'm not talking about people that just pass you by and say, hey, and say you're a friend. No, I'm talking about women that I trust. These are wonderful women, Jewish women, Muslim women, Hindi women, women from all the different Asian countries, women from all the different European countries. They're beautiful people. Do start to work together. Do not, because they hate women. And one of the things that they've been trying to do with at least us, we have to work together. So do not, brown women, I know that you have mistrust in a lot of arenas, but right now we have to get together and just start to, like the way the witches used to meet up in the woods. And I'm telling you to do this I'm telling you online right now, and vet them all out spiritually. Make sure you vet these women out, because remember, they will set, just like I tell you to do this, I will tell you, many are isolated purposefully, but you can vet them out in the ether. I tell you many times, it's very important for you to learn how to be awake in your sleep state, to be lucid. You have to practice your lucidity in dream state, because you can vet out a sea star to see if she's real or if she's working for the Willy Wonka system. Same with a man. You spiritually are more advanced. Men are able to work through us, but you as a woman, you work in the ethers. That's why they come for us. That's why they do sex magic with us, because our wombs are portals into other worlds. I don't care if you don't have a womb or not. You had a womb there. That womb is still there magically. You have the ability to source out people. Start using that. Stop drinking Coca-Cola. Y'all, let me tell you, because Mexico and a lot of South American countries, let me talk to you. Stop drinking the Coca-Cola and the Pepsi. They got the nanoparticulates up there, and it messes with your judgment and your ability to astral travel. It's important for you to go into the astral plane and to vet people out. You cannot do it here, because they're going to mess with your ability to see things with clarity, because all of your food is dirty. All the electricity is dirty. The people are dirty. So the way that you're able to vet people out is by being super clean. Stay away from drugs. Stay away from alcohol, and start doing things in the ether. That way, if you meet a sea star, you want to vet her out. If you're lucid already in your dream state, you could vet her out like 2.5 seconds. And you vet her out. Don't go to fake psychics online. Tell, oh, I could do a reading for you. You don't know this woman from Jack. And she could be very well another Agent Smith working through the lines, or trying to deceive you, or trying to push you in one way or another. It's time for you to start ponying up and start clearing out your system. I know cocaine cola. Oh yeah, Nikki said cocaine cola. Listen, I heard this from Selma. Big up from Selma, who's in Mexico. I didn't realize how bad the addiction to Coca-Cola was, y'all. Y'all, did you see the guy who did the whole under the microscope thing with the Coca-Cola? Why did it look like nanobots all in that? So when you're drinking soda or mass destructions, y'all, just drink clean water, source out the water, do that. Try to stay away from all the liquids. Anything that they can get in your body, I would avoid. If Willy Wonka's trying to get in your body, you want to put the least amount of